Hey there, friends in the Virginia Conference. My name is Jonathan Page. I'm the Director of Connectional Ministries for Innovation and Creativity, and today we are continuing our series of General Conference prep videos by talking about disaffiliation with DS Doug Forrester. So Doug, thanks so much for joining us today.
Sure, glad to be here.
Doug, tell us a little bit about kind of your role in the annual conference, your role in the delegation.
Sure, so I'm the District Superintendent of the Valley Ridge District, which is the far southwestern part of the conference. And I am the first clergy alternate delegate to General Conference this year.
So you'll be there with us
So I'll be there.
in Charlotte, and we'll be excited for that. And one of the themes of legislation that is before us in 2024 is disaffiliation. And as a district superintendent, you're very familiar with disaffiliation. I wonder if you would tell folks just a little bit of an overview of what is disaffiliation and kind of what's been happening with that in the last few years.
Sure, so disaffiliation was something that was introduced through a paragraph called 2553 in the Book of Discipline after the 2019 General Conference. And it was originally envisioned as a means by which churches who could not abide by the traditional plan could exit the denomination with their property. And as time went on, it became the means by which all churches who wanted to disaffiliate from the United Methodist Church could do so. And really the district superintendent's role was to help to facilitate that process. We began the process when a church would reach out to us. The first step of the process was to have an information meeting from the district superintendent. And that information meeting was really just explaining the mechanics of how disaffiliation was going to operate, because we were really careful as superintendents to not usurp the role of the appointed clergy or lay supply as the resident theologian for that community.
Sure. And so over that period of time when 2553 was open, and to be clear, that's no longer viable, right. That window closed in December of 2023. I'm just curious if you might share from your perspective as a DS, what were some of the impacts of disaffiliation in your district or on our connection as a whole?
Sure. On my district, we had 20 churches disaffiliate, and that put us on the lower end for the entire conference. There were some districts that had significantly more disaffiliations than we had. But you know, what I tended to see were churches that definitely had an opinion on human sexuality, but that wasn't the only thing that they wanted to talk about. They had issues with apportionments. They saw apportionments less as something that enables churches to do something larger than themselves, and saw it more in a transactional way. So they saw it as, what do apportionments do for us? Right. And many of these churches they just feared for their future, and they feared for their existence, and they hoped that, you know, that one of the benefits of disaffiliation, other than being able to detach themselves from current conversations on human sexuality in the denomination, but that the freedom would give, and the autonomy would give them an ability to do things that they felt like that they couldn't do otherwise. I can tell you that, you know, from a personal standpoint, the church that my parents were married in, the church I answered my call to ministry in, my grandparents' church, this one very special, very holy ground for me and for my family disaffiliated. So it became something that was very personal for my family as well, because my parents, my mom and dad, had to live through this experience of disaffiliation, and it was really heart-rending for them to have to live through those.
And I imagine that those wounds haven't fully healed in a lot of ways, and that's something that I think we see throughout our annual conference. And so now we've got 2024 General Conference forthcoming, and again, there is some legislation that's been proposed regarding disaffiliation, some connected to the U.S. Church, some connected to the central conferences. I wonder if you might have perspective for folks watching about that legislation that's coming before the 2024 General Conference.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that 2553 was only for the church in the United States.
Right.
And you know, we saw how how hard it was for churches, both churches that disaffiliated, but churches that stayed in the United Methodist Church. I've seen instances where churches have been torn apart by people who wanted to disaffiliate, but the church wound up not disaffiliating. And I just can't, having seen what I've seen and seen the impact it's had on our clergy and on our laity, on our annual conference and on our connection in the United States, I just can't imagine wanting more of this. And I especially can't imagine making this something that we want to do globally. If 2553 was a beta test of what disaffiliation does for the health of our denomination, I just can't see wanting to do it more broadly.
Sure. I think that's really, really helpful, and it's certainly a perspective that'll guide our delegation in Virginia, and hopefully it'll guide others around the connection. Doug, would you want to offer a closing word? Any other thoughts about disaffiliation or General Conference in general for our Virginia folks that are watching?
Well, I would just say that, when I look at my own district and things that we've been able to do lately, when I look at stories of life and new hope around our annual conference, I'm proud to be United Methodist.
Yeah.
I'm proud of who we are. I'm proud of who we've been. We're not perfect, but I believe that we are going on to perfection, and that we do have great days ahead of us. But in order for us to be able to fully live into who God has called us to be, we need to be united.
Amen.
And we need to walk that road together, because we're better when we do it that way.
Amen. Amen. Couldn't say it better myself. And so I want to thank you for tuning in today to this topic video. And you can access on our website, vaumc.org, all of the topic videos related to General Conference and all the communication leading up to the time that's coming in Charlotte at the end of April and beginning of May of 2024. We're looking forward to that time, looking forward to the future of the United Methodist Church, especially as we live it in the Virginia Annual Conference. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.